Hello to everyone joining from all around the world. It's really a great privilege to get this invite from Panacea Cooperative Research. And today I'll be talking about forensic dentistry in India. And we'll try to have a look at the past, the present scenario, and also future prospects. Now, this is where India is, and I live and work in the city of Dharwad, which is in the southeastern part of, I beg your pardon, southwestern part of India in the state of Karnataka. And it's a small city by Indian standards, and it's one of the two twin cities of Hubballi and Dharwad. We are located at a bit of an elevation, so our weather is fairly pleasant for most part of the year. We have a population of about 1.5 million, and Dharwad is considered as a educational hub as well as a cultural capital of this state of Karnataka, where it is located. Now, this is the institution where I work in. It's called SDM College of Dental Sciences and Hospital. It's almost 40 years old, and since about 6 years, it's now part of our own university called STM University. Now, this university and my dental college established India's first exclusive department of forensic odontology about 19 years ago. Now, ours is a private institution, and therefore we thought of getting some recognition from the local government, and we wrote to them requesting them to accord us some form of a recognition. And after some uh, inspections and scrutiny, they were quite satisfied with the facilities that we had, and they accorded us the state referral center in forensic odontology status back in October of 2010. So what you see there on the right hand side is that local government's recognition of my institution as far as forensic odontology work is concerned, which means that the police, which is a government machinery, can refer cases to my institution, which is a private institution. So it's a wonderful example of public-private partnership. Now, in my department, in my institution, over the last 19 years or so, we have undertaken extensive research. We've done research in a variety of subjects, and we have published it in top forensic sciences as well as forensic odontology journals. And the research that we have undertaken spans almost all areas of forensic dentistry. So it includes post-mortem comparative dental identification, post-mortem reconstructive dental identification, which includes research on population variations in the teeth, sex differences in tooth size, as well as age estimation. Now, age estimation research that we have done is not just from a adult point of view for use in postmortem context. We have also undertaken research, especially radiological methods, so that we can use it in age assessment of the living also. Last but not the least, we've also undertaken research in bite mark investigation. So basically, the research we have done spans almost all areas of forensic odontology. Now, of course, forensic odontology is broadly defined as a branch of dentistry which deals with the law. And I just want to talk a little bit about the heritage India has had in forensic dentistry. So, when it comes to, for example, description of bite marks, there is written texts in uh, India where they talk about something called as love bites. I'm sure you have all heard of, perhaps even read this very famous book, the Kama Sutra, which was written by Vatsyayana more than 1600 years ago, and he has devoted an entire chapter to love bites. So you see, it was back then itself recognized that bite marks can be found as part of human sexual activity. Now, I also want to throw light on one of the earliest cases of dental identification, which also dates back to India. This is in northern India, in the state of Uttar Pradesh, in a place called Kannauj. Back in the 12th century, the Maharaja of Kannauj, the king of Kannauj, his name was Jayachandra Rathod. He was identified from his artificial teeth following his death in battle. So you see, there is some very important and noteworthy historical significance of forensic odontology as far as India is concerned. Moving on to the 20th century, I am aware that dental identification has been used in India since at least the 1960s. I am also aware that dental jurisprudence was part of the undergraduate dental curricula way back in the 1970s. And we also have examples of forensic dental age estimation, forensic bite mark investigation, way back from at least the 1980s. So there has been quite a bit of application of forensic dental sciences here in India, and a very high profile case of identification from the teeth happened in the early 1990s when our former Prime Minister, uh, late Rajiv Gandhi, was assassinated by a suicide bomber. And this suicide bomber, who was female, she was identified from her teeth. So her body was highly mutilated, and her identification was done partly using her dental remains. Now, in 2000, we established the Indian Association of Forensic Odontology, and a small group of dentists from different parts of India came together and we set up this organization. I am myself a founder member of this organization, and we are open to all dentists. Our interest is to further the cause of forensic dentistry in India, and we have our doors open to any dentist or any other non-dental professional who has some form of interest in forensic dentistry. And today we have more than 650 life members, and we organize annual conferences. And later this year, in September, we will have our 22nd national conference in the western state of Gujarat in the National Forensic Sciences University. And this is also an international uh, conference, so we are throwing the door open to international delegates also. So you are most welcome to register. You can see the IAFO webpage at the bottom left hand side of your screen. So do visit the webpage and register in case you are interested. And as a president elect of IAFO, I wholeheartedly invite you all. Now, in India, we have something called as the Dental Council, and this is the regulatory authority of dental education and dentistry in the entire country. So, this DCI actually introduced and expanded forensic odontology in the dental curricula as part of the undergraduate revisions in 2007. So back then, what was decided was to split forensic dentistry into two streams and teach part of forensic dentistry In third BDS under oral pathology, so the histological and morphological aspects of forensic dentistry is covered in the third year BDS, whereas the clinical and radiological aspects is covered in fourth BDS. BDS, of course, is the name of our undergraduate program, the Bachelor of Dental Surgery. And we also have a fair representation of forensic odontology in the graduate curriculum. So, forensic odontology is an integral part of oral pathology graduate program, that is the master's course, both in oral pathology as well as the master's course in oral medicine and radiology also. So, the coverage of forensic dentistry in dentistry undergraduate as well as postgraduate programs is quite prevalent here in India. But there is a lacuna, and that lacuna is especially in terms of having trained and experienced forensic odontologists. So, such trained individuals are relatively few for a big country such as India. And therefore, what dental schools do is that they supplement undergraduate and graduate requirements by having periodic teaching learning sessions, by having periodic continual dental education sessions, by external forensic odontology experts. By external, I mean uh, dentists who are not part of a dental school are invited to organize these training sessions. So, therefore, such trained experts, including myself, what we do is when we get invited, we blend the theoretical aspects as well as practical and case based learning in these professional education programs. And we also have specialist training in forensic odontology for dentists. So, this is much more comprehensive than the professional education programs, which may be just a day or two in duration. The specialist training for forensic odontologists is much more comprehensive and may last up to 1 or 2 years also. Now, I just want to show you some of the programs that we have been organizing since the last 20 years. So I'm going to begin with the December 2005, the very first program which I was invited to conduct. And here I organized a hands-on program in radiological age estimation as well as bite mark investigation. And over the last 230 months that I've been working here in India, I've been invited to deliver lectures or organize mm, workshops and training programs around 190 times. So that means almost every month I get invited to conduct some form of a lecture or a training program, and I'm just going to show you a few of them. So this is in southern India, the capital of my state. This is in Government Dental College in Bengaluru. And here another program 5 years later. This is in central India, in the city of Nagpur. The program actually occurred in December 2009, but the news item came in the media about 3 or 4 weeks later. Now, let me show you something very interesting. In 2015, you will notice that we now have fellowship training programs. These are 1 year comprehensive training programs. And here there's a lot of case exposure, a lot of practical training. And of course, we have digitalized all our training efforts. Right from 2014, even the UG training which I undertake, I make extensive use of computer hardware and computer applications. So computers, of course, is indispensable to the work that we do. So this is just a snapshot of some of the training programs we did and the dentists who graduated from these programs in 2015. And next, I'm going to show you an interesting brochure. This is from February of 2020, just before the COVID pandemic hit us with a lockdown. So this was that last program wherein we were able to organize a carefree. But then March 2020 onwards, we went into a lockdown, and many of the programs which were organized, which were supposed to be organized in March 2020, had to be postponed. That included certain fellowship programs. And what we did was, between the pandemic lockdowns, we organized these training sessions. So, yes, 2020, 2021, we had the training programs ongoing during periods where the lockdown was minimum. And we, of course, took all precautions, PPE, etc. And yes, that's how we continued with all these teaching, learning, education, and training efforts. And about 5 years later, we are now in a much different place, much better place. And this was just earlier in 2025, in January, wherein I had a 2 day event in my neighboring state of Andhra Pradesh. And just a month ago, in February, we had the classroom contact session of the fellowship program, which we organize here in my institution. So there are 8 enrolled dentists. So these dentists are very senior, some of them are younger, but yes, it's a very diverse group of dentists who joined our program. And you notice that this program also included online sessions. And the classroom photos you see here are of the dentists appearing for their examination. So we have comprehensive, detailed examinations also. And yes, they've all done quite well. So yes, this is the most recent photo that I can share with you as far as fellowship training is concerned. And the highlights of these training programs are that we include peer-reviewed research, which is done in India. We include new methods which are published from our own innovative techniques here in our institutions and departments. So these are covered to the students and dentists who enroll in these training programs. And it is India centric. My effort is to try to make it as India centric as possible, and we include standards developed here in India so that later when they practice this specialty in India, they understand how things work in the Indian context and are quite ready to face the real world. And highlight is to have real life casework. So there's no substitute to the experience of one gaining expertise from working on real world cases. So this is an integral part of the training that we undertake. And therefore, I now wish to just show you some of the cases which have been referred to my school. So we get a wide variety of cases, and these cases, when we use them in training the dentists, it positively contributes to capacity building of these dentists. So let me just show you 2 or 3 very diverse sets of cases. It includes a case on child age estimation, adult age estimation, sex assessment, and population identification. So this is how every case begins. So we get a letter requesting us to do some work. So such a requisition may be received either from the police or some government agency, or it can even be from some hospital. And always they're requesting our assistance in the investigation of a specific case. Now, this letter you see has come from my own university's medical school. What has happened is that a female who is suspected to be less than 18 years, she is suspected to be a juvenile. She is pregnant. She has come to deliver her child. She has delivered the child, and the police want to know whether she is really less than 18 or whether she is an adult. The reason is that there are strict laws which try to protect minor and juvenile, especially females here in India. And if such a person was found to have been sexually assaulted, there will be serious consequences for the offender. So that's the reason for this. And usually, what I prefer is for the physical presence of the subject. So we would want to undertake a detailed examination, a dental examination, and once that's done, we'll also follow it up with uh, radiography. So in this case, we have obtained an orthopantomograph, and we have carefully assessed this orthopantomograph. And using the orthopantomograph, we have tried to assess the age. We've used a couple of methods. The Demirjian method is something which I have researched on. I found it to be quite useful here for Indians, and that's one method that we have used. Of course, it's the modified 10 stage 8 tooth Demirjian method, not the original 7 tooth method. In addition, I've also made use of the open apex method. So, this is a measurement based technique. We calculate the ratio of the open apices of the tooth apex to the height of the tooth, and all these analysis and age estimation is undertaken using India-specific formulas. So formulas either derived by me or formulas derived by other researchers, as long as they have been derived on Indians, we use those formulas to assess the age. So what was the findings here? So our findings, we've written it in detail. Um, You'll notice that the report that I have written is in the English language. That's because English is an accepted language. It is one of the official languages in India. So I'm permitted to use the local state language, but also English. So many times we'll get request letters in the local language, but I can respond to that either in the local language or I can respond to it in English. So people are usually trilingual here. Many of us speak 3 to 4 languages without any difficulty, so it's not a big issue. But yes, the report and opinion which we submit is written in detail, written very professionally, and the salient findings of this uh, case was that we found the female to be not even 18 years old. She was approximately 17 and a half. And using certain probabilistic calculations, we found that there's a 97% likelihood that she is less than 18 years. So the inference there, which the police and judiciary would do, is that the subject must be a minor or juvenile. And I mentioned that the consequences can be severe. That's because, as per Indian law, sexual intercourse with a female who is less than 18 years, even with her consent, is technical rape. So that's not allowed. And we have child marriage prohibition laws. So our Child Marriage Act, basically there are strict child marriage laws here. So any female who is less than 18 years old, as per law, cannot get married. So that would be a punishable crime, especially to the adults who would be involved in marrying of such a female person. So it appears that the opinion rendered here would be used to activate these clauses of the law. Next, I want to talk about a case of adult age estimation. So here, um, not only were we asked to assess the age, we were also asked to predict the sex. And the background to this case is that there was a domestic gas cylinder blast, and as a result, 2 people appear to have died. They recovered mutilated fragments of human remains. And one of those jaw fragments was sent to us. And this comprised of about three teeth, basically a maxillary central incisor, a canine, and a premolar tooth. And what the forensic medicine department has asked from a different city and institution is what is the age and what is the sex, because the police have in turn asked them these questions. So they have relayed these questions to us. So what we did was have a collaborative effort amongst three different dental schools, three different departments. We chipped in, worked in collaboration, and based on our assessment, wherein we measured the teeth for sex prediction, and we also used the radiographs of these teeth, imported them into a computer application, and measured the pulp and tooth area ratio. And our findings was that this person is likely to be 30 to 32 years old, and there's a high likelihood that it must be a female. And when we presented these findings back to the forensic medicine department and onward to the police informed us that their suspicion was that one of those individuals who had been killed in that gas cylinder blast was a female who was 32 years old. So it appears that these fragments were identified as belonging to one of those unfortunate victims. So this is a good example wherein we use both age estimation as well as sex assessment. The final case I wish to show and share here is something related to population identification. And this is a historical case related to India. It's actually from a event called as India's first war of independence. Now, many around the world think that we obtained our independence from British rule courtesy of a very peaceful movement, and that definitely is the case in the 20th century. But in the 19th century, mid 19th century, there was a vicious battle wherein there were many Indian soldiers who were serving in the British East India Company. They rebelled against the British, and there was a major war. So this was in 1857, and as part of this rebellion, about 500 soldiers of the 26th Native Infantry Regiment rebelled and killed many British officers. They tried to escape. That is, these Indian soldiers, they tried to escape. But in Punjab, which has some really big rivers, they were halted by one of the rivers which was flooded. This was during the monsoons of 1857, so these rivers were swollen and it was very difficult to cross them. The British Army, the surviving soldiers and officers, caught up with these Indian soldiers. There were 282 of them who were captured, and these captured Indian soldiers were shot and thrown into a well near a place called Ajnada. Some of these Indian soldiers were supposed to have also been just buried alive in this well. Now, many in India did not know about this. We knew about the 1857 First War of Independence, but we never really knew about this particular case of Indian soldiers being dumped in this well in the town of Ajnada. And it was just by chance that when someone was going through certain British archives in the UK, that they stumbled upon this particular incident. So they came back to India. They went to that place, checked if there was a well. They found a well, and in the well, they found lots and lots of human remains. So this is the well on the right-hand side. After after the human remains were excavated, so the excavated human remains were, virtually the entire skeleton. But what I'm showing you here is, of course, what was something that is relevant to my investigation. It is pertaining to jaw fragments and teeth. So I received a official request from Punjab University in Chandigarh, which is in northern India. So they requested as part of this case for me to undertake sex assessment, age estimation, uh, racial identification, that is population identification, and a host of other investigations also. And when it comes to population identification, what we decided was to make use of 11 non-metric dental traits, and we made use of the Arizona State University dental anthropology system. Now, many of you who have dabbled in dental anthropology will recognize these ASU plaques. So, ASU plaques for all these 11 features. In fact, we have the entire complement of ASU plaques for more than 20, 25 such features. We used it, and what we found was that in all these human remains which we examined, about 4% related to cusp 5 on the upper molar. Cusp 6 was found in about 2% of the lower molar. Tomes root, that is an additional root in the lower first premolar, was found in about 6% of the skeletal samples which we examined. And cusp 7, remember cusp 7 is an extra cusp on the lower molar between the two lingual cusps. So this was found in about 8% of the skeletal samples that were sent to us. So like this, we examined all the 11 non-metric traits, and we found that 8 of these non-metric traits exhibited frequencies which was recognizably different than other global population groups. Now, what's interesting is that the non-metric dental traits examined here in this sample for population identification have frequencies which are relatively unique. And this is what previous research has found about Indians, that non-metric dental traits doesn't really fit in with other world population groups. The frequency of these non-metric dental traits is relatively unique when it comes to Indians. So indirectly, we believe that these human remains must belong to Indians, and therefore it must be of those from the 1857 first war of independence. Because one of the suspicions was that those human remains we recovered belongs to certain soldiers from Afghanistan. So based on our investigation, we believe that these must be from India per se and not from other neighboring countries. And our findings were published in the Journal of Forensic Oral Stomatology about 4 years ago. So basically, what I have shown you are diverse forensic cases, and we use these cases in training dentists, as part of various continuing dental education programs, as well as other long-term training programs such as fellowship. So that is definitely a strong point of the education we have here in forensic dentistry. And I'm quite happy to tell you that perhaps because of this case-based training that we undertake, the forensic odontology departments in India have proliferated in the last 5 to 7 years. So, from one single department here in this tiny city of Dharwad, where I work, today we have forensic odontology departments in so many other bigger cities, metropolitan cities of India. So, that's wonderful to see. Now, what do I see as far as the future course of action is concerned? I believe we would need and we will have more trained and more experienced dentists who are well versed in forensic odontology applications. I think there will also be routine coverage of forensic dentistry in dental schools by in-house faculty members, with the lower and lower requirement for people like me to go and serve as external experts in training and education. And I also anticipate there will be more and more public-private partnerships, especially in the arena of research in forensic dentistry. And of course, who can ignore the use of machine learning models, integrating it to different forensic odontology research data? That has to be part of the conversation, and myself and many others around me are delving into this area of research. So, to summarize, I wish to say that forensic odontology, rather forensic dentistry, as I like to call it, has a rich history and it is applied routinely. And there's high quality translational research here in India. And forensic odontology is definitely is in its ascendancy and will continue to be so in decades. And I think there will definitely be an integration of ML models in real world casework. So I thank you all. I thank Panacea Cooperative Research, and I also thank all my dental colleagues, fellow dentists, students, and participants who have taken time to attend this program today.